Short story by Boris Fedorovich. Athletic arena. Mr. Petro Stepanovich hurried through the empty town to the athletic arena. His daughter, together with her son-in-law and grandchildren, on the first day of the Russian invasion, hastily packed the most necessary things into a suitcase, left for Poland, leaving him alone home. Before leaving, the daughter stood silently for a long time and looked at her house as if she had seen it for the last time. From the very morning, powerful explosions were heard from the city of Chernihiv. One after the other, ambulances raced down Street Kievska with shrill sirens and flashing beacons. A column of black smoke could be seen from afar. The food warehouse, which was hit by a Russian missile the day before, was on fire. There was a queue near the supermarket in the center of Brovary town. The men stood 4 in a row, smoking cigarettes and talking among themselves in low voices. The queue turned around the corner of the supermarket and stretched on, 200 meters, to the entrance to the military enlistment office. A siren wailed, announcing the threat of an air attack. Its terrifying sounds echoed through the town, scaring the few residents. A pack of stray dogs, hearing the howling of a siren, stopped in place. One dog from that pack lifted its muzzle up and howled plaintively, imitating a siren. There, high in the sky, a silvery object was visible. Suddenly, somewhere from the outskirts of the town of Brovary, a white streak rushed toward the object with a rustle, which in a moment exploded and turned into a white cloud. Mr. Petro Stepanovich returned to the town park. For decades, a Soviet military plane stood prominently in the park. It was installed with the rear part on the pipe. However, with the beginning of the war, that military plane was finally removed forever. Mr. Petro Stepanovich reached the athletic arena along the path that led along the shore of the ice-covered lake. Once upon a time, even before the war, both children and adults played sports in this spacious sports facility from morning to night. But now the people in the athletics arena were completely different. On the lawn near the athletic arena, a company of young people was making cocktails by pouring gasoline and motor oil into empty bottles. Not far from them, some men were cutting metal rails into pieces with grinders, while others were welding anti-tank urchins from those pieces. Another group of men was filling bags with sand. It was also crowded inside the athletic arena. In the far corner of the sports facility, there were men of respectable age. They were no longer registered at the military enlistment office, but they did not feel comfortable at home. Mr. Petro Stepanovich was among them. The old soldiers were commanded by a former military man, a colonel. Under his leadership, while waiting to receive combat weapons, they sometimes disassembled and then reassembled training weapons. Then listened to medical instructors who taught them how to properly apply tourniquets to wounded limbs. Then inspected various mines. Not far from them, volunteers bustled around boxes, crates and bags of clothes and food. Every time a car with a new portion of humanitarian cargo arrived at the track and athletic arena, volunteers quickly unloaded it, as well as promptly loaded empty cars that took the humanitarian cargo further to the required places. In another corner of the athletic arena, a dozen women were knitting camouflage nets. And a few more at tables along the wall were preparing coffee and tea with sandwiches for all the inhabitants of the athletic arena. Among the others in the athletic arena was one young, smiling and cheerful guy. He was disabled since childhood. He had sore feet, with a broom and a scoop in his hands. He walked slowly around the athletic arena, cleaning up garbage from the floor. During the day, the artillery barrages approached and then moved away from the Brovary town, and in the evening the joyful news spread through the athletics arena. Near the Brovary town, Ukrainian army burned Russian tanks.